Okay, Julia, we're live. Thanks for meeting with me this morning. Just for my audience, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself briefly? I know you're building a few companies, and I'm curious to pick your brain about it.
For being here, Connor. My name is Julia Nimchinski. Probably 80% of your audience will be able to repeat my family name and my company name. Um, company name's Hype Cycle. If you could share the link after our podcast, that would really help and people will get the joke. But yeah, we don't have bubbles in Tel Aviv. I'm based in Tel Aviv. Hype Cycle is the second biggest community in B2B for go-to-market leaders. And I'm also founder of hardskill.exchange. It's a marketplace for skill building, the first in B2B. And yeah, there are a lot of other projects like Go to Market Mag and an agency we run. So yeah, excited to be here.
Yeah, and help me understand how you found your way into entrepreneurship, right? And I think you let me know that you're Gen Z, so you're relatively young and relatively new into your career, right? So have you worked in the general corporate environment, or did you just go right into building and creating startups?
I'm a Gen Z oriented marketer, understanding that, the future of everything is going to be AI and Gen Z and all of the other letters that we don't know yet. But I spent a decade working in product and marketing in the Salesforce ecosystem. So I'm not that young. And
Okay.
yeah, I founded a company within a company. And that's how my entrepreneurship kind of route, intrapreneurship, they call it, started. And from there, yeah, I just started Hype Cycle and then Hard Skill Exchange and set of other projects.
Got it. And help me understand Hype Cycle. You say it's a B2B community for leaders. What's the revenue model? Do these leaders just join? Is it like it's just a community where people can network and meet, or what's the core purpose?
Yeah, the core purpose is to actually create a community that I think for every founder that you want to be a part of. The biggest problem that I've seen back at the time, like 3 years ago with communities, is that I won't name names, but there's two trends. One trend is the premium model, where basically the whole premise is going to be built on status and badges and exclusivity. And so you pay $20 per month or whatever the model is, just to put that badge on your profile. And so I just wholeheartedly hate it. And I think that you have to actually gain the skill and focus on the substance as opposed to posing. And I mean, it just makes sense probably for somebody. And so that's trend one. Trend two is the free for all kind of thing, where it just becomes circusy at a certain point, and there is no control over the quality of the content or the relationship or anything really you feel being sold to via the sponsorship that communities run. So what we created with Hype Cycle is community for innovators, in the first place, people who actually challenge the status quo. And by that, I mean, we did the craziest thing. We collected, I mean, it just, I think we featured at this point 5,000 revenue leaders in B2B. And it started with GTM cross training, where we could feature a CEO and a CMO in one event with, first year SDRs and marketers and CSM people. And the goal was to really come to the truth in alignment by seeing all of those perspectives via interactive go-to-market simulations where sellers could just start using MarTech and run ads and build marketing plans and be challenged by the leading CMOs in the community, and marketers were doing cold calls with Aaron Ross and people of that caliber. And yeah, just starting to finally talk to their customers and not just run ads and polls. So that's that's the value prop that basically laid the foundation, the foundational DNA of the community, and now it just evolved into a CXO kind of more niche environment where we do seek some debates, unscripted, unfiltered, and yeah, with COVID and the virtual reality, we just want that real, raw conversation from all the people that you already know. So
And so the values that sellers can get exposure to those leaders that they otherwise would not have exposure to, essentially.
the value is that sellers could get exposed to the insights from the leaders that typically don't share those insights in on a podcast, on a webinar, only because it's a different environment. We create an environment where um, it's a debate. So we would debate something that is considered to be a conventional norm in our industry. So should we have it SDRs as a function at all? And so we put a CMO and a chief revenue officer debating this. And the perspective is really interesting. And it's never black or white. It's always obviously somewhere in the middle. And so that middle is really valuable for our community members and they tend to enjoy it.
Okay. No, I think that makes sense. Can you share maybe an insight that you've learned since building this? I would assume that you attend, you absorb the information. Is that part of it as well as it allows you to grow and learn
Obviously,
as you
yes.
build it?
Yes, tons of insights. Every time, I guess the biggest one and the most general is that if you want to improve in any skill, or if you generally want to have that insight, you have to find it in the intersection of disciplines and not just purely in sales, marketing, or product. And it starts there with seeing different perspectives and actually trying getting that productive friction going, and obviously a growth mindset.
Mm-hmm. And so is there like a core philosophy you have as you're building these companies? Is it is just building those hard skills? I think it can lend to the name of the other company you're building as well. Is that what you view as the key to your success and others' successes as well, whether they are in sales or marketing or whatever role they are in the company they're building?
With community, it's always about the content and the value that you provide to the community members. And since our community members are mostly innovators and challengers, it pushes you to create better content always, and to it just is reflected in our events, in our white papers, in everything we do. Really, we just created recently almost like a sales TQ, GTM kind of IQ test that is brought to you by the leading industry, just executives, C levels in B2B. So everybody submitted a question, and it's really interactive. It just went viral within our community and on LinkedIn, in the wilderness of LinkedIn. And so everybody gets scored, and just you as a seller at least start to think about, oh, how do I calculate NPS, or what NPS means at all. So we tend to um, just generalize and expose people to the knowledge that they tend to ignore just because they need to be effective in what they're doing now. But the answer to that efficiency often lays in the ability you think and the angles that you're exposed to. So that's with the content side of things on the Hype Cycle project. And with Hard Skill Exchange, it's a totally different story. So open to your question on that one.
Yeah, and I'm curious too, maybe for some listening out there that may not have a background in the tech space, right? It can seem, even for me, right? I don't have a tech background. You're talking about a lot of this stuff. It can seem almost like a foreign language. How do you start and be able to play in this arena and network and build the skills to be successful in the tech space specifically and with these innovators and things that you're talking about?
Yeah, so briefly, Hard Skill Exchange, ironically, and that's the exact reason why we are building that platform. So up till now, like I've spent yet again a decade in product and marketing, different role, every role you can imagine. I've been a CMO and I've been, just a content marketer, and just there's no linear evolution, at least in my case. But when you want to, they just promote you to product marketing. And typically, what you would do, you would get a product marketing course. You'll start obviously reading different content about product marketing, but at the same time, you end up on a Zoom call with, I don't know, 600 marketers from other industries, typically, and a very generic content that just can't address your pains now. And so you just tune out. And in fact, like 2 to 3% of all of those courses only get like 2 to 3% of people who enroll into all of those courses, they get to the end. So it's just an extremely low amount of people that have the grit and I don't know, the motivation to sit for this. And for everybody else, within the community that I've been exposed to and throughout my professional journey, they just tune out, they multitask, they just do, they learn from the best colleagues that they're exposed to, different networking events, and obviously changed with COVID. And so with this new reality and the all online reality, obviously there are a lot of in-person events and we're back to this, but they're releasing. It will sound funny, but I just read about the X virus. So it seems like a never-ending story with COVID and um, the releases of COVID. Um, but yeah, if you want to get into technology, the most effective way to progress within your skill building is to book a time with somebody who's succeeding within that specific skill. And that's what Hard Skill Exchange is about. We have a wait list of thousands of people who want to become coaches, and we just approved in the beginning 10. And then we just expand a little more to, we started with 4 skills and 10 people. Now it's 32 skills and 60 people. And when we feature a coach, the kind of caliber of people we're talking about is like if you're an AE, you were basically in a President's Club 12 out of 15 years, that kind of thing. So those are the most succeeding salespeople in the industry, marketers, CMOs, CROs, CEOs, VCs now. Um, and the price range is really quite democratic. It's varies from $50 to 2,000. So pick your poison kind of thing.
And help me understand, is Hard Skill Exchange available to the public for the public to book anybody? I could go on and book a call right now, but
Absolutely.
it's okay. And I was on the website. I'm curious, how can you, for someone that is inexperienced or does not know the people in the space, how do you know the caliber of person that you're booking? I think you mentioned that you do have some stop gaps in place, or you review every coach to make sure they are of higher caliber. But if there are 10 coaches and they were all stellar AEs, is it kind of just pick your poison? You can't go wrong. Every coach is going to be a good option for you. But if you're putting $500,000 on the line for a 60-minute meeting, how do you know you're going to get that value that you've desire in the first place?
Yeah, great question. So it starts with a skill that you want to improve. That's always question one. And then really subjective factor, what do you like more? Well, you can just review every video of every coach on the platform and just, I think that people tend to be more inclined to work with a certain kind of personality than the other. So it's hard to predict here. And when it comes to um, industry and vertical and, just basically, I guess, select the leader that would match, the environment that you're in. And we have cybersecurity people, SaaS people, mostly B2B, B2C. So it just varies. The filtering works really great on the platform. So everybody can check it out.
And what sort of feedback have you received from those that have used the platform? And is there a specific metric you're using to track success? Right, I would assume you want repeat customers, somebody that's going to come back again and say, "Wow, this has been a great resource for me." So and so on Hard Skill Exchange is a great mentor for me. Have you experienced that, or is that something you're watching closely?
Yeah. The repeatability matters the most in marketplaces. And marketplaces is just I guess not the kind of business model that everybody wants to go after from just the behind the scenes perspective is the most challenging one. It's way more challenging to build a marketplace than I mean SaaS. But in our case, it all evolved really logically. We are like having 20,000 people within the community helps, and featuring 5,000 leaders, just like throwing, a massive batting party every month, just doing it for 2.5 years. We wrote a book in Wiley about this format, reinventing virtual events, and that just we were exposed to a lot of some of the brightest mind within the industry. So when it comes to the hard side of the network and the coaches and their experience, the validity of their experience, it wasn't hard for us to really understand, to validate it, let's say so. But we would back channel their managers. Um, and in a case with C-levels, it's just we tend to know them personally. Um, and and yeah, what was the other question?
I guess just confirming that people are coming back to reuse the service, right? Is that a
Yeah.
metric you're tracking?
Yeah. So my philosophy on this, we always launch beta projects, and we literally add the beta kind of badge to the website, and we do it very consciously. And that's probably for your audience of entrepreneurs. I would encourage everybody to do that. It just gives you some slack. And sends a signal, hey, we know this is not perfect and we need your insights, uh, so that we can improve the experience. People are way more open to give this insight and just to hop on calls with you. So yeah, we did set of different like questionnaires and just Slack DMs where we just ask for general feedback on the website. And at a certain stage was really clear that the website was built for the coach, and the message was more appealing for the hard side of the network. Hey, become a coach, and this is so amazing. And the users found this hard skill exchange, the New York Stock Exchange. Some of the language was too metaphorical or too confusing, and so we immediately fixed all of it, and the conversion worked way better than with the customers and the transactions that happen on the website. Personally, um, just booked like meetings with every customer until the end of February. So all my calendar is filled with those. Really interesting. And it's probably the best thing that every founder can do, every entrepreneur can do, talk to those people. Um, Not in an like interrogative way where you have a list of questions and have to go through it, more from the perspective, hey, just this is another human being, try to figure out if what you're building is actually valuable and does the world need it really, because there are so many products now that nobody really needs, but they get the investment because of the AI layer. So
Mm-hmm. And so, if I'm understanding that correctly, you're going to be interviewing or touching base with people that have received a coaching session on the platform.
yeah, we already did that, but in our like in our marketing approach, when the project is in beta stage, we're not going to aggressively with marketing and funding. It's just step one for us is to really nail the product, make the user experience as perfect as possible. Not too perfect, obviously, but it's just like make the repeatability happen on the platform, and only then we tend to just gonna be running ads and doing all of the other stuff to kind of the classic playbook of building and expanding a company. But
Hmm.
back to your question, yes, we I did connect with a lot of folks till now, and yeah, just if you're curious about the repeatability, it happens. It involves just simple insights. Hey, why don't you spam me with your email? That's the kind of thing that I wasn't expecting to hear. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, I just forgot about hardskill exchange and the fact that it exists. I'm like, yeah, but it's like it's not a bug, it's a feature. So we transition to that stage very, very soon. So yeah.
And then another question I have is, I would assume, I'm thinking from the coach's perspective, right? I
Yep.
think these people are very high level operators in whatever role they're in, C levels. You mentioned all the different roles. I would imagine that their time is valuable. Obviously, they get to monetize it on your platform, but do you feel that that is a hurdle as well? Is the longevity of the coaches and them committing to whatever it is, 2, 3, 4 hours a week on their calendar, committed to this hard skill exchange, when they say, oh, this is great, but I'm also building a business over here. I have these other responsibilities. Is that what, are you running across that at all? I would just imagine the
Never,
time. No.
never,
Okay.
never even once. And we have the inventor of solutions selling Mike buzzwords on the platform. So he literally invented the way we sell in SaaS now, back at the Xerox day. We we don't see that, and I think that I'll tell you a story. So I just connected with one C level that we are onboarding to the platform, chief strategy officer from a VC fund, um, and the first kind of adjacent product that she first is like associated immediately hardskill exchange with was this mentorship platform, and I won't name names, but basically the whole premise was that they didn't compensate the coaches at all. And so they would charge a subscription, and the coaches had to basically be driven by this, I don't know, like the goodwill and the desire to give back to the industry and community. And then at a certain point, she was like, if I can be perfectly honest, I can't do that at scale. I mean, I can do probably one session a month, but I can't do it at the scale that they require. To me, that idea is an insanity. Like just step one, you want to compensate the coaches and everybody who's involved, and that's the major problem that was happening with platforms like this. Because it's really, really rare that you can attract the hard side of the network, the coaches who are actually like the most successful people within their industry, their niche, their skill set. Um, and at the same time, they would be willing to be part of it and compensated well. And yeah, normally, just want to build a business. Like if you analyze any given competitor from e-learning, all of the, have 500 million funds and all of the obvious competitors, I think yet again, um, there's a matching algorithm. And so Connor, you would be answering like 20 questions on what it is exactly you want to improve. And then they match you with 5 people. And the experience is really questionable because then you pay like $80 subscription per month for one session. And the person is based in, Rome, and it's like their second year in sales. So that's definitely not the route that we want to take. And therefore, with hard skill exchange, it's going to be a long run. We're not going after fast exits, but quite the opposite. Is just actually building the company and making it valuable for everybody involved.
So kind of along that same vein, how does it work if I book a call and I it's 30 minutes, it's $500. Is it more of a free form conversation with the coach? Is there any preparation that goes into it? I'm just thinking through, like, if you, and I get it, I think if you have the best of the best, but you also are paying a decent sum of money, I would imagine, okay, I want to get as much value out of this 30 minutes as I can. So how is the conversation or the content prepared for or moderated? Or is it just like, hey, we're going to hop on a Zoom call and we're going to figure out what we want to talk about on the spot? Or is there preparation that goes into it?
There's a problem that you want to solve and the goal that you want to focus on during those 30 minutes. So when you are purchasing a session, you would define those. And I mean, just have a pop up that just basically asks you, hey, like Connor, what what is the goal here? And is there anything that the coach needs to review to learn before you meet? So you submit that. And yeah, and that starts the conversation. So by the time when you meet the coach, they already reviewed your problem and they know what you're gonna be working on. And yeah, that's how it works.
Okay. No, I think it's interesting. I think it will provide a lot of value. And I think by the coach can control the price, which will control the demand, right? I don't know if you think about that at all. Like,
Exactly.
there's not that many people that are willing to pay $1,000 for 30 minutes, but those that are will truly get the value out of it, right?
You would be surprised. There are
Okay.
people, and there's like one of my latest interviews. So the biggest insight from the interview is that the soft side of the network, the users, they could be totally become coaches on the platform. Most of them meet the same criteria that we set for the coaches. So it's just, if you want to go to the library, you have a very clear goal. Why are you going there? And I bet you're, quite intelligent already. That's the same kind of motivation that we're seeing in our user base. And so yeah, they one like customer told me, hey, like I just went on the platform, I saw a LinkedIn post from some of my colleagues, and out of the interest I looked it up, and I saw this this coach that just charges 2,000 per hour. And out of curiosity, he's the leading author, like literally number one author in sales and marketing, wrote 2 books, has a methodology, billion pipeline driven. And yeah, he just booked a session out of curiosity, and then they bought a package for 3 months training. Can you predict that? Would you expect
Mm-hmm.
that? Not sure.
Yeah, so I guess I'm trying to kind of understand your avatar or your target market. It sounds like it's pretty niche, right? Where people are going to say, "Oh, I can't believe I can book so and so for a coaching session on hardskill.exchange." Like, they already know who the coaches are. It's not just someone that's just graduated from college and they're going in to some startup as a BDR and they want to just book a call. It's more someone that's already achieved some level of success and they're just trying to go to the next level. Is that fair?
With the premium pricing, yes. With the normal pricing, it's everybody. You can work in Uber and you want to actually get into the technology world and you don't know what's step one, like how do I start selling? Where do I go? And you obviously would have some companies in mind that you are targeting for your job interviews to become an SDR or whatever role you're going after. And so you would just basically, you can find those people on the platform for most of those companies and grab time with them and actually share the problem. Hey, I'm going to be interviewing for this company. What is, the skill set that I need to focus on now? Can we just grab, like, I don't know, 1 month's coaching where you would actually help me to get there so that I get the job? And that's the vision we really want. Like, the platform is for everyone, to answer your question.
Yeah, so there will be all caliber of coaches. The demand will be um, managed by price, right? And the caliber of coach, the higher caliber of coach you are, the more you could charge. But like you said, if you're an Uber driver and you just want to know, hey, how do I nail an interview at this tech startup? There will be somebody that offers a $50 session that will give you that value.
Connor, the insanity of B2B, and I don't know how familiar your audience is with B2B tech, GTM tech, but there is another community that does CRO school. So 90% of the people who are enrolling into the CRO school are SDRs. It's not even funny at that point, but I'm constantly seeing all those badges on LinkedIn and certificates. Oh, I'm like 1 year, like in a company, a leading company, and I have this like CRO certificate. Great. What are you gonna do with it? What's next? Is it really helpful, or is it just like a show offy thing? So with hard skill exchange, we focus on the skill set itself, on this substance, and the idea is, if I want to improve my cold calling or emailing or booking meetings, I don't have to pay 2,000 to somebody, who's a leading CRO or CEO or VP of sales, whatever. I don't have to do that. I can book an AE or an SDR manager who succeeds in this now and does it, practice it. So yeah, another element to the platform is that we don't have thought leaders. We only have practitioners and operators.
Got
They're
it.
all
No,
active.
I think it makes a lot of sense. I want to pivot a little bit to your story, and obviously you've built a career and been very successful in tech. I'm curious from your perspective for young people out there that are entering the workforce. From your perspective, do you feel that tech presents the best opportunity in terms of growth, developing those skills, earnings, opportunities? If you had to go back in time and you just graduated from university or college, would you have followed the same path, or what would you do?
Definitely. The thing that I love about the tech industry the most is that you, um, one, you can solve any problem that you are interested in, and you are building your career actually yourself. The amount of bureaucracy or all of the madness that is happening in other industries is really minimal in tech compared to, um, you know, um, I mean, I just don't want to put down other industries, but you know what I'm talking about. It's just
Yeah.
government and
Well,
stuff. It's just a different animal. So um, definitely tech provides you way more opportunities than any other industry in the world.
and you touched on AI earlier, right? And I'm sure you
Oh,
know a lot more about it than I do. I feel as though it's a kind of a buzzword. But can you tell me how you see it affecting the tech world and the world generally? And I think to a comment, which I think is interesting. Obviously, hard skill exchange is very people centric, right? Where you think people will continue to learn from people, and it's important to have that connection to truly build those skills. But I'm just curious how you view, 5, 10 years down the line, how AI fits into all this, or how it's going to change the space.
well, optimistically, pessimistically, it's gonna make us more productive, definitely, but it's overhyped, way overhyped, and it's quite understandable why. It's just we haven't come up with a perfect sales process yet. There is no sales methodology or sales process that's gonna do it all and fit every vertical, every industry, every seller. It doesn't exist, and so you can replicate something with AI that humans didn't, come up with. So it just there is nothing
Hmm.
in the database allowing you to do that. So since there is no ideal process and there is no ideal methodology, and they evolve and change every time and depend on a ton of subjective factors and micro trends and macroeconomic environments, it's definitely not life changing for the next decade, but yeah, you can have AI assistant like Grammarly Go that can make your text sound more intelligible, or like it just there are a lot of like really exciting. One friend of mine is building a startup um that is focused for basically focused on communication of sellers, VCs, prospects, and if you're familiar with Oren Claff and his content and the power dynamics. So if you're a junior in sales, you tend to communicate in a certain way that shows that you're early on in your career. And
Mm,
basically what the assistant would do, they would just suggest you, hey, based on the conversation that the other person is having, and all the data that it scrapes online, um, you want to shorten your sentence. You don't want to write a long email. Just so it basically kind of it's evens the frames and the conversation. Stuff like this I'm excited about. Um, but I don't see AI as being like, the answer to all of the
mm.
pains in GTM.
Do you see that it could also cause more problems? You talk about it from like a sales perspective. If you can have chat GPT write cold emails for you, and anybody can do that, it seems like people are more anybody. I myself get multiple emails a day being solicited for whatever marketing services, something I don't want to deal with. And I think that causes potential customers to kind of turn off and tune things out more so when it becomes so easy for so many people to send so many cold emails or so many spam calls that you get all the time. Do you see that presenting a challenge for somebody that's maybe new, starting the career, going into tech, going into sales, AI creating problems like that?
Well, I think that human humans in general created those problems for the last 20 years. The reason why we have so many sales methodologies, go to market frameworks, is exactly the problem that you're pointing at. Um, so just the moment something starts to work, everybody starts using it and it stops working. So it's just
Mm,
it's quite crazy, Connor, especially sales methodologies, because if you look, I read the majority of them, like the fundamental Sandler, which you're probably a fan of, and Challenger and Spin. None of those sales methodologies start with a subjective factor as what product do you actually sell to use that methodology. So that's the biggest problem, in my opinion. And not to mention the customers, right? But you just the moment the methodology saturates a market, all your potential customers, they just become allergic to certain phrases. They cringe seeing something. Hey, I hope you're doing well. That kind of thing.
So, kind of in that same vein, so do you believe that a stellar salesperson, the best salesperson that knows the best methodologies, can sell anything to anyone? Or are you more, and I would assume you are more product centric, where you need to build a quality product that provides value and meets a need, and then the sales process becomes easier? Um, where do you stand on that?
I'm stand on thinking, and I believe in productive thinking. And again, that's the reason why we build a community and challenging everybody's thinking. And so if you go apply to any company, the first question that you should ask, and I know that it sounds quite hypocritical, probably in the considering the economic environment that we're in, probably your listeners are like, oh God, I just hate this person. Yeah, let's consider like what project is going to change the world and do I want to be a part of it? That's
Mhm.
not what I mean. But the question that you want to consider when you apply to a job is like, hey, um, does this company, does it have PMF, or is the product actually what they promise to be? Use the product. I mean, enterprise is a little trickier, but try to really think about like, is this something that will make the world like more productive, at least a couple of percentages more productive? Um, or is this something that is just, a copycat kind of thing from, the thousands of other product and projects that are doing it? And obviously, it all comes down to people and where you've been working with more than technology. Um, we still create a technology.
Hmm. And is that kind of at the core of what you do? I mean, when you think about what you're building, it sounds like community has resonated with you, the ability to connect with other people in building those skills is what is going to, it's kind of pie in the sky, but help solve our biggest problems. Is that why you've built what you've built with Hype Cycle and Hard Skill Exchange?
Yeah, I it's just in entrepreneurship, you're focused on the problem that probably you're trying to solve for yourself. And that's kind of there are, if you listen to a lot of interviews or podcasts about entrepreneurship, business in general, there's always a question like, hey, why did you build it? And, you know, why did you become an entrepreneur at all? And I don't think that that's kind of a question that you can answer. I think that it just gradually and logically happens to you. You don't choose it, if it makes sense. Just there's a problem. Hey, um, I just I want to be I want to connect with people with this kind of persona, innovators, challengers, who are who do not care about badges on LinkedIn and showing some status, but they actually want to understand like, why is this craziness happening that marketing people live in an isolated world and do not talk to salespeople. They do not care about. It's not, probably now the situation is way better, but 5 years ago it was really painful. Like marketing is like all creativity boosts, just ads, amazing, but it wasn't really tied to the revenue side of things, and they were never talking to their customers. So you can analyze a ton of dashboards, but why you cannot have a couple of conversations to actually use that text on your website? Simple stuff like that. And you tend to look for those kind of people around you or in any communities available, and you don't see them. So that's how you create a community. But you don't wake up one day like, hey, I want to become an entrepreneur and I'm gonna reverse engineer it and think about, what company do I want to build. So it might be
Yeah.
subjective, but that's my opinion on.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting perspective, right? Because I've talked to other people that will say, oh, I think you're born with that trait of wanting to do
Yeah,
that. And I think you're more saying that get a job in whatever industry and be exposed to things. And then when you do that, you'll see a need and realize that you can build something to fill the need. And then you kind of fall into it, right?
definitely. Exactly. You shouldn't care about titles. All my career was working in early stage companies, and that was basically a choice. I love that environment. I love having the ability to just to talk to the product team, to impact product decisions, to talk to customers, to just be in the same room. I was reporting to VP of sales, being a marketer. So you learn way more in those kind of environments. But then again, it's not for everybody. So I'm not insisting, but definitely um, you definitely want to spend some years in the trenches, um, to be exposed to more problems. And then if you're an entrepreneur, you'll figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm curious, and we've kind of already talked about this. You may not even know why, but so why initially though, did you say, I want to go into these startups, these early stage companies? I mean, was there an influence, a parent, a mentor that led you that way? I just always find it fascinating, right? Because there are other people that say, I'm just going to be an auto mechanic or a nurse. And so I'm just always curious as to why you took that path.
Um, it just logically happened. I I don't know. I just there was a trend, very easy. I didn't see myself. I'm not the kind of person who would be interested to work in a corporation or, just after graduating university, go the traditional route and kind of spend years and years just progressing gradually within a role. I knew that about myself. And so I wasn't the kind of student, perfectly sitting and listening and taking notes for hours. So knowing that about myself, technology and this generally the ability to just have no degree technically and start working in product marketing, that was amazing. I didn't know what I was getting into. Back in the days, they just, they had all of those kind of um, uh, badges or whatever you name it, junior product marketing manager and then like
Mm-hmm.
senior and stuff. Some companies still have it, but it's not, the most DI friendly way of doing it. But yeah,
Hmm. No, I think that's interesting. So I don't know if this is fair. This might be a generalization, but it sounds like you like the freedom, right, to
I
create.
do.
You,
Yes.
because yeah, the bigger a company gets, and I think it's required, right? A lot of those structures serve a purpose, right? To have a budget and to have whatever management structure that say, okay, you have to fit into a smaller category as a company grows. But when a company's smaller, you get your hands on everything else, right? So with that, maybe let's circle back to hard skill exchange, right? It sounds like you do have a very long-term vision with this, but it sounds like you want to build it into something big. So how do you view that, and how are you planning to grow it into something big and also maintain that kind of startup nimble mindset and methodology as you grow?
To briefly answer this, it's just the best thing that I've ever tried is to actually have those customer conversation on a daily basis. And so the plan to expansion and like actually building a valuable company is just, the Amazon way, the Amazon principles, the conversations with customers at scale. I don't think that you have to stop it at any point. I just think that just like you have sales conversations or, investor pitches or you're working on your product or whatever you're responsible for, you just have to have those connection points to the market and to the people who are just using, the thing that you're building. And yeah, so I literally spend, and I recommend everybody listen to this. Just schedule your calendar with at least one customer call a day and just connect with those people. And you'll see very fast different data points and trends. And it's a slippery slope because you also don't, what you don't want to end up doing is endlessly changing your vision and your product and everything just to cater one customer at a time. It's also insanity. But what's interesting is that a lot of insights that actually matter, they tend to come up with repeatability. So um,
Yeah, I can imagine you could get in the weeds, right? Or how much weight do you provide to one customer's opinion, right? And who knows, even if this customer, regardless of the changes you make, is going to be a customer for the next year, right? They say, they just change their mind. They're like, oh, I'm gonna whatever. I'm taking a sabbatical, traveling the world. I don't need the hard skills change anymore. So I could see that being an issue. Excuse
question
me.
to you, question to you,
Yeah.
Connor. So with hard skill exchange, would you use it? And how would you like platform of this kind to evolve and what would make it actually valuable for you?
I think so. Excuse me, I apologize. But I'm so I guess I would ask you, do you see it expanding outside of it? Feels like it's very tech focused, right? If you work for a startup or SaaS product marketing, and I'm in kind of a different space, right? So I sell insurance, health insurance in the United States, which I feel like there is a disconnect, but maybe you could help me understand and say, no, there would be a lot of value to you there. But I think I would, just in terms of myself as a sales leader currently and trying to develop those skills about, and I would imagine it applies to any industry. How do you scale and grow a successful sales team? Or maybe more so from a leadership perspective. How are you an effective leader in an organization, regardless of industry? Um, and I would just need to, I'm just apprehensive from my side of saying, okay, I'm going to spend whatever $500. How do I know the ROI I'm going to get? And it just seems like I don't know going into it. So that's my initial thought when I think like, oh, this is cool. And I also think that paying for somebody's time that has the insight that you need makes a lot of sense. But there's just still a little bit of apprehension from my side. I'll just say that.
So to answer that, yes, we do have insurance folks even now on the platform. And secondly, what is your biggest pain in sales in your day job?
I feel that insurance can sometimes feel like a commoditized market, right? It's just a competing on price. And so I think help in sales strategies or actual product strategies, and I mean, I have my own ideas about this as well, but that allow you to create a differentiated insurance product would be very valuable.
Yeah. So the caliber kind of people that we have on the platform is like literally the person who built sales motion at Amazon and reported to Andy Jassy. And I think that if you will spend like, just 30 minutes, an hour with him or and other GTM leaders, they all have different experiences. It's not only tech. Um, they tend to just, it's really rare actually that somebody would work in insurance and just insurance for 20 years. You know what I mean? Because the kind of situational coaching that you would need tends to fall into this category of probably low repeatability sessions and with somebody who has like at least 20, 30 years of experience professionally um,
Mm-hmm.
watching all of those companies. And so, yeah, um, with strategy, you just definitely want to look at their achievements and like, okay, that they built a sales motion at Amazon. How's Amazon doing? I think they
Yeah.
can help you, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, I think that's a good point. How can you learn from others, even in other industries, and apply those same methodologies or their same successes to other industries? And I think it is, I think it's really important. I think it's interesting. And I love it. I think you'll do really well. So I wish you the best of luck. I maybe one question to close out. So for you're a tech entrepreneur, right? And you said maybe it happened by accident, but there are a lot of other people out there that are trying to build platforms or tech products. What is the best advice you can give somebody maybe to close this out that's listening to this, that's trying to build something and they're struggling? It's expensive to build software and fund it and market it and make it a viable product. What advice can you give them?
Fail forward is the best advice that I can give, and it's the best advice that I'm just actually following. It's never going to be like you don't have funding, you have funding, you have a way bigger problem. There's like macroeconomic trends, and people and the technology and the commoditization of everything. So the problems will never stop coming. Just life is one massive problem, right? It's just if you are wired in a way that you want to solve those problems by problem at a time, and you're that kind of person, you just have to be honest with yourself. Are you that kind of a person? If yes, when I was founding, like I said, I'll leave you with this. When I was founding Hype Cycle, I offered a co-founder role to one colleague of mine. And we started doing it together, and we had first massive sponsorship, and sounded exciting really fast. And she had contact, and then she just recorded messages like, "Hey, with all due respect, I just can't be always on like you." And it honestly, like, it's just not for me. I realized it, and I don't want to do it. And at first, as a co-founder, you hate it, but then you actually appreciate it kind of honesty, and that deserves real respect. So my advice is fail forward, try things, and be honest with yourself.
Very good. I think that's a great way to end it. So really quick, where can people find you and the companies that you're building?
hardskill.exchange.com,
Yep.
hypecycle.com. Nobody will be able to pronounce that kind of thing. to,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
um,
The
and
spelling's
LinkedIn.
weird. Yeah. So all that info will be in the description. Hype Cycle will be in the description. Your LinkedIn, Hard Skill Exchange. So, hey, Julie, I appreciate you taking the time. I know you're very busy. I got a lot of value from it, and I hope others do as well. So, again, best of luck.
Thank you so much, Connor.